All right, we are on week 3, day 3. And there are a lot of word problems in this one. Well, not too many. There's 4. But we are going to go through all of these. Okay. So let's do the first one. So in the first, and I'm going to try to do all 6 on this page. We'll see if we can. In the first set, t equals 0, x equals 1.5, y equals 6, and z equals 1/4, and they give us different expressions that we have to evaluate. All right, so let's evaluate this one. So z equals 1/4, so I know I got to make that a fraction. And y equals 6. Okay, so I do need the parentheses here because they express multiplication. All right, if I cancel, I get a 1 here for this one. And then 3 times 6 is going to be an 18. 1 minus 18 is going to give me a negative 17. All right, number 2 is yz, so I'm going to put my little parentheses. Z is 1/4. I mean, I put that in the wrong one. Z is 1/4. Y is 6. Okay, got to put a 1 over it. Multiply that through, and it's 6/4, which reduces down to 3/2. Or you could write it as 1 1/2, or 1.5. Ooh, number 3 is a big one. I'm not sure if I gave myself enough room. Okay, plus, let's write that like that so it's not confusing. All right, so we need to evaluate this. So I only have one expression, one variable. And it's a t, and t is 0. Don't really need it because it's just adding. Got to do what's in the parentheses first, which is 4. And then I do my multiplication. That comes to 20 minus 6 is going to give me a 14. All right, number 4. Number 4 is a long one too. All right, so I need to replace the y. I need to evaluate the x. And yes, that's a t. Okay, so y is 6, x is 1.5, and t is 0. All right, got to do the parentheses first. 1.5 plus 0 is 1.5. Now my multiplication, that's going to turn to 12. This is going to be 9. Okay, add these together, and you get 21. All right, it looks like I ran out of room, so I only got to question 4. Let's go ahead and go to the next page. So I'm going to try to get 5 and 6 done on this one. Again, t equals 0, x equals 1.5, y equals 6, and z equals 1/4. 4z plus 2, x plus 4. Oh, I don't need that. I wrote all over my copy. So I decided to give you guys another way of doing this problem in the answer key. And that is I did it through simplifying the expression first, then filling in the words. You can do it that way. Actually, I'm going to do it that way real quick, and then I'm going to erase it and do it again. Okay? So if I was going to simplify the expression first, I'd have to multiply that through, distribute it. So it's going to be 2 times x plus 2 times 4. And the second one's a negative y, so it's going to be negative y times 4 plus negative y times t. All right, so now I have 4z plus, get rid of all of my multiplication by doing it. I'm going to put the 4 in front of the y, plus a negative yt. This is going to go to just negative. No like terms. So now I can fill in the expression. So I need to evaluate for all of these variables. All right, so for z, I'm going to put in 1/4. For x, I'm going to put in 1.5. For y, I'm going to put in 6. And for y, I'm going to put in 6. And for t, I'm going to put in 0. So these cancel, giving me a 1. 2 times 1.5 is 3. Oh, I got ahead of myself. 4 times 6 is 24. And 6 times 0 is 0. So let's do this math. That's 4 plus 8 minus 24. This is going to give me 12 minus 24. It's going to give me a negative 12. Okay, so I said there was another way. We could just evaluate it. So let's go ahead and do just evaluating it. And either way is correct. You're going to find that just evaluating it is going to be a quicker method, but I just wanted to give you both as a way to do it, especially because we learned our simplifying expressions. Okay, so I need to evaluate for all of these expressions. So this one, there's one in here, that one, and then it's not a y. Oh, I see it now. I'm sorry. So 4 plus that one. All right, now z equals 1.5, x equals, no. Z does not equal 1.5. What am I doing? Z equals 1/4. So I'm going to put a 1 underneath that. X equals 1.5. Y equals 6, and t equals 0. So let's do what's inside these parentheses. That one means multiplication. All right, so 1.5 plus 4 is 5.5. Can drop the parentheses. I don't need it in this scenario. All right, so 4 plus 0 is 4. All right, so cancel, cancel. That's going to give me a 1. Plus 2 times this is going to give me 0, 11, minus 24. 1 plus 11 is going to give me 12 minus 24. It's going to give me negative 12. Did not change my answer. I think it was slightly quicker. That would be up to you which one you like better. So I did not get to 6. It's taking me a lot longer. All right, so let's write this all up here for the third time. Whoa, got a little off center there. So the last question, number 6, is 2z minus 3xy. So I need to evaluate these three things. I need to evaluate the z, which is 1/4. I need to evaluate the x, which is 1.5, and the y, which is 6. So all I have is, I have to do my multiplication first. All right, if I do this, it's going to be 2/4, which reduces down to 1/2. All right, let's take this one at a time. Let's multiply this through, which is going to give me a 4.5. Now let's multiply the next one through. So that's going to give me 3, carry my 30, carry my 3, 24, 27. All right, so now I I've got to look at this reasonably. Okay, so I have numbers with different signs, which means I'm subtracting. So I'm taking 27 and I'm subtracting a half. If I have 27 cookies and someone takes a half of one of my cookies, I have 27 and a half cookies left, right? And because 27 is the bigger absolute value and it's negative, this is negative. So my answer is negative 26. Of course, you could write it in all the different variations, just as long as it is a reduced fraction. All right, so that's it for the straightforward non-word problem questions, okay? So now let's do some word problems. Okay, so don't do number 7 because there is an error, okay? So number 7, do not do. If you were confused, that is why. But we can do number 8, so let's do number 8. Okay, so Mercury's surface temperature has a range of 600 degrees Celsius. This range is the broadest of any planet. So a range is a distance between 2 points on a number line. So the range of this one is 600 degrees Celsius. Okay. All right, what else do we say? Given that the lowest temperature on Mercury's surface is 197, that's the lowest, so this one would be my highest. Write and solve an equation to find the highest temperature. So first I got to find the difference between these, okay? Because if I have 173 and the highest is 600 points away, I'm going to add these two, which is actually subtracting, right? Because when we do these types of problems, we are actually subtracting. So this would be the addition or subtraction way, but I want to write it in an equation. So there, I could either put this equals x, and that would make it an equation, okay? Or I could say the lowest temperature plus 600 would give me the highest temperature, whichever way you solve the equation. Okay, did it say for us to solve this too? Yes, it said for us to solve it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to use the first equation because it's easy. It's basically the second equation if I were to evaluate for L. All right, so either you can say I used the first equation, or you can say I evaluated for L. I put in the lowest temperature. Okay, so now I'm going to solve for X or H, whichever you want it to be. Okay, so if I take negative 173 plus 600, I am going to get 427. I had a mind freeze there. So that is the highest temperature on the planet of Mercury. All right, that was number 8. Number 9 says 1 serving of milk contains 8 grams of protein. So 1 serving, 8 grams. Okay. 1 serving of steak, so 1 serving is 32 grams. Write and solve an equation to find the number of servings of milk needed and to get the same amount of protein as there is 1 serving of steak. Okay, so first we got to write this equation and then we got to solve. So I know that I want them to be equal. I want milk, the grams of protein in milk, to equal steak. Okay, so I know that there are 8 grams in whatever amount of milk servings that I take. I don't know how many servings of milk I'm going to have to drink to get to steak, so I just put an unknown in there. Now, as for steak, if I wanted to write an equation, I don't know how many steak servings I'm going to have, but it's 32. Well, actually, I do know. Okay, so this is kind of like a very general equation. But I know that I want to know how much milk is equal to 1 serving, okay? So I can evaluate this where S is 1 serving of steak. How many servings of milk do I need to equal 1 serving of steak? All right, so I'm going to do that math, and that's going to be 32. Got to ask myself, what is the doing to the M? Because I got to get the M by itself to know how many servings of milk, okay? So I have to divide because it's being multiplied. 8 goes into 32 4 times. So I need to drink 4 glasses of milk to equal the protein in 1 steak. Last question. Are you excited? All right, and it's another word problem. Joy earns $8 per hour at an after-school job. So I said that per means division, so that's money over hours. She gets $8 for 1 hour. Each month she earns, her monthly earnings are $128. So she's obviously not working that much. How many hours does she work each week? Each month. So first we got to figure out how much she works in a month. How many hours? All right. So obviously, if I want to know how many hours she works, I know that she works $8 is 1 hour. So I'm going to have to divide these, right? Divide the hours with the hours, okay? And if you ever take my dimensional analysis class, you'll understand why. So I'm going to divide these two to figure out how many 1 hour segments are inside the 128, because that will tell me how many hours, since 8 is corresponding to 1 hour. All right, so 8 goes in there. 16? I don't think that's right. Where did I get 16? Let's go ahead and do it the old-fashioned way, because my answer, I think, is wrong. Oh, no, it's not wrong. I did it in my head wrong. So, yes, it is 16. So she worked 16 hours in a month to be able to rack up all that money she made. Okay, so now let's read the second half of the question. After 6 months, she gets a $2 raise. So instead of making $8 per hour, she now makes $10 per hour. How much does she earn per month now? Well, I'm assuming that she still works 16 hours, right? So if now she's making $10 an hour at $16 an hour, what is this question asking me to do? Well, it's asking me to multiply. If you took my dimensional analysis class, you know that's because these cancel out. If you're in this class, you know it's because that is what the mood, we talked in week 2 a lot about the mood of word problems. That is what the mood is trying to tell you, to multiply. So $160. Another check I know is that she gets an increase of $2 an hour. She better be making more than she made at $8 an hour. I can see that my number is bigger, so I'm in the right direction. All right. Okay, that's all for day 3. Join me next video for day 4.